I am the Count, and this is the Patreon for Cemetery Confessions. Thank you for checking it out. Man, we've done a lot of stuff in the last couple years, and I really want to thank you guys for that. What I want to do with this video is cover three things: what we've been able to accomplish since we launched Patreon, what we are going to do with your money and are doing, and where we would like to go in the future if we can expand Patreon. So we've been able to accomplish a number of things with your support. Most recently, we've moved from um, monthly shows to bi-weekly episodes, which means you get more frequent content and more content for everybody. There's a dedicated website. I've been able to expand the Belfry Network podcasts and blogs and things like that. And I've had the time to work with up and coming podcasters, help people start their own shows, that kind of thing. Another element that will be available for everybody. We're doing live streams now, monthly for Patreon. There's a number of new rewards because we've just revamped the Patreon page. So if you haven't checked it out recently, I suggest you do. Patreon.com/Cemetery Confessions. Most notably, founders level members now will be getting special merchandise every 3 months. Mugs, t-shirts, stickers, all kinds of cool things. Check it out. We've changed all of the rewards. We've updated the rewards, updated the page, added some photos. To give back to you guys for giving to us. But I set up the studio. I'm able to produce higher quality content. There's still a few things I'd like to do, but we can have guests here now. And that's going to be coming this year. And I've started a YouTube channel for Cemetery Confessions to add additional content outside of the podcast for the community. What are we doing with your money other than that? What else are we doing? And what are we going to continue to do? Well, it provides for research material. I pride the show on being well researched. The topics we talk about, I'm just not sitting around shooting the shit. I buy books, I buy DVDs, I spend a lot of time trying to make sure I have my information correct and add a different perspective to what you might get in other places. Time away from our families, of course. The podcast takes a lot of work. The editing, the prep for the show, being flexible for guests. If I'm going to take away time from my son and wife on a Saturday or a Friday night or whenever that is, I have to be able to justify that, and Patreon provides stability for that. Equipment upkeep and replacements, of course, hosting costs for websites and podcast hosts, that kind of thing, and just the continued existence and safety for the show. If Patreon went away or dipped too low, I wouldn't be able to justify doing the podcast. So you guys are keeping Cemetery Confessions on the internet and producing content. What are we going to do in the future? If we can expand the Patreon page, there's a lot of things I'd like to do. Expand the blog, get some new writers and pay them to post articles on the belfry.rip. Expand our album and movie reviews. Start doing giveaways for our Patreons. Again, there's some goals that I'd like to reach that will get you guys extra rewards just for being a Patreon member. Biannual Google Hangouts. This is something I would really like to start doing apart from the live streams, just to get all the Patreon members in a Google Hangout, video face-to-face, and just all chat and hang out, kind of like a night at the club. Play some music, hang out, talk about our lives. That would be something I'm really interested in doing. Patreon only podcast episodes, video versions of the podcast for everybody. Get some editing software, do some neat things with that. That takes a lot of time and effort, and that would be something, one of the goals we would have to reach on the Patreon page. And of course, the ultimate would be live recordings, show up at somebody's living room, have all of our friends over and do a live Cemetery Confessions episode. Maybe even like a mini convention would be the dream. That's something I actually do dream about from time to time. But in the present, pledging to support Cemetery Confessions, I feel, is also a pledge to support the goth culture at large, because what I strive to do is provide a space for those who don't have a scene in their local town to feel included and to feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. And for those who do, we try to promote unity, to promote different perspectives, to proliferate meaningful discourse in the online community, and of course create entertaining and informative content, to give back to the culture that gave so much to me personally, and I think to all of us that has meant so much. So again, pledging to Cemetery Confessions on Patreon provides safety and stability for the show, and that has meant so much for me. So I would like to thank you for continuing to support us on Patreon, or just considering jumping in at $1 a month, at $5 a month, and seeing what kind of bonus stuff you can get on top of what we're already doing with the podcast. So here's to you. Thank you so much for checking us out. Patreon.com/Cemetery Confessions. And until next time, stay dark.